Is marriage the solution for lust? Each man should have his own wife and each woman her own husband. Do not deprive one another. If they cannot exercise self-control, they should marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion. If we read this passage as the purpose for marriage, we read it incompletely and incorrectly. Paul is using truths about marriage to make his point, such as because of the temptation to sexual immorality, it's better for each man to have his own wife and for each woman to have her own husband. And that because of the temptation to sexual immorality, it's better for people to marry, where they can express their passion, rather than to remain single and burn with it. But the focus of the chapter is not marriage. Paul gives this truth as a concession, not as a commandment. If marriage is the focus of this passage, and if Paul is sharing the principles of marriage, then the whole second half of the chapter doesn't make sense. Because he goes on to say things like, men who have wives should live as if they have none. The passage isn't about marriage, homeboys and homegirls. And marriage is not the solution to lust. Because the problem with lust isn't that we don't have a place to express it. So does that mean marriage doesn't help with lust? No, that would be ridiculous. Of course it helps. It puts everything into the proper context. It gives us the opportunity to satisfy sexual desires and have intimacy as God designed. But if your problem is lust, it doesn't solve it. The solution to lust is undivided devotion to God. That's what 1 Corinthians chapter 7 is about. And if we read it that way, everything else falls into its proper perspective. So let's do that. From verses 29 to 35. This is what I mean, brothers. The appointed time has grown very short. From now on, let those who have wives live as though they had none, and those who mourn as though they were not mourning, and those who rejoice as though they were not rejoicing, and those who buy as though they had no goods, and those who deal with the world as though they had no dealings with it. For the present form of this world is passing away. I want you to be free from anxieties. The unmarried man is anxious about the things of the Lord, how to please the Lord. But the married man is anxious about worldly things, how to please his wife, and his interests are divided. And the unmarried or betrothed woman is anxious about the things of the Lord, how to be holy in body and spirit. But the married woman is anxious about worldly things, how to please her husband. I say this for your own benefit, not to lay any restraint upon you, but to promote good order and to secure your undivided devotion to the Lord. Given the proper context of this passage, we see ways to secure our undivided devotion to the Lord. And the passage lines up with what Jesus said. If anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, yes, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. When our love for marital intimacy and sexual fulfillment is greater than our love for Jesus, we have misplaced loves. It takes on a form of idolatry. Same thing as lust. When our desire for lesser loves is so strong that we burn with passion, we shouldn't try to suppress or eliminate that desire. The lesser love isn't wrong. That passion, that burning, should motivate us to cultivate a greater desire for Jesus and the things of God. Sexual desire, sexual energy is made for more than sex, more than pleasure and procreation. It's a catalyst. It's to inspire creativity, leadership, passion for God, passion for people, spiritual warfare. The hormones that arouse you sexually also arouse your creativity, gives boldness in leadership. God physically designed us to be all about making his name famous through art, through business, in education, in ministry, and whatever else. What injustice makes you angry? Do something about it. Don't be apathetic. What dream constantly occupies your mind? Pursue it. Our needs for sexual and emotional intimacy are not perfectly satisfied in marriage. God created us to desire something more. Your ultimate desire should not be to find a spouse. You're missing the point. God created us to want something more, something heavenly, something we're still waiting for, married or unmarried. All our energies ought to be channeled for that single purpose as the body of Christ. If being married helps us to do that more completely, with more complete devotion, because we're not distracted, let them marry. If remaining single allows us to do so, remain as they are. Marriage isn't so much finding a place to satisfy your desires. It's about helping us to channel those passions to greater loves. And we all, with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord who is the Spirit. Whether you struggle with pornography, romance novels, or fantasizing about a particular person, whatever, use your sexual energies to accomplish things for God. It's not impossible, we're dynamic. Your sexual energy isn't made for just one place. Make Jesus your focus. Idleness, passiveness, these things, they're not your friends. In any situation, the problem of lust will dissipate as your desire for God explodes. We need passion in this world. We need men and women who live from a deep, God-centered passion with unwavering commitment to the glory of God. I think young people, all people today, need to know that we're made for more than sexual gratification. That's something that has been elevated so high in our culture, increasingly so. Far too often, we settle for the lesser love of sexual fulfillment, when we're made to be image bearers of God's glory. If marriage is included in the path God has for you, then sexual fulfillment is a part of that. But our focus should not be on sexual fulfillment. My name is Christ Defender. I defend the Christian faith. I answer questions and criticisms concerning Christianity. If you like what I do and you would like to support me, hit the Patreon link in the description below. If you're not too sure yet, but you're intrigued, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, check me out. Okay, bye!